Greetings to all our listeners. I am Talea. Today I'll be interviewing Samuel Ford to you on behalf of SOY, Saving Our Youth. Please tell us a little bit about yourself and what caused you to do the work you do.
Well, I'm a journalist. I've been a journalist for, as I calculated, about 49 years. I've been a broadcaster for 50 years this year. I've been a disc jockey when I first got started. Then I was a radio news reader, and then I was a television reporter, and I've been a television reporter, I would guess, since 1974. So that's what, 48 years? So I've been doing that, and that's what I still do. I'm a television reporter at WJLA, which is the ABC station here in Washington. That's what I do.
What advice do you have for young people who want to join the journalism field?
Well, if you want to join the journalism field, first you've got to be somebody that's interested in journalism. You know, what is journalism? Well, it's what's going on right now around the world, around the city, whatever. And so you tell the stories of people who are out here doing things, whether it's the mayor or whether it's somebody who, let's say, has a particular cause, maybe like Save Our Youth, somebody that's trying to work with young people to be able to, get the young people to have a brighter future. So, and then as a journalist, my job is to tell what these people are doing, and then hopefully, tell the public what they're doing, and maybe this will help somebody. At least it will keep them informed. So journalism is out there on many levels, and journalism to a degree is if you find something out and you tell your friend, and she didn't know that, to some degree, you've given her the news, right? And so people sometimes call it gossip if it's not exactly maybe true, or if you have to question whether it's true. And hopefully we don't put a lot of gossip on TV, although quite honestly, I think a lot of the stuff is probably gossip. But in any event, the idea is to inform the people, inform the public of things that are going on. And that's what I do. It's like one of the ways I'd looked at it is like, I'm a nosy person, and I walk up to you and ask you your business and expect you to tell me.
Based on your experience from the past 3 decades, what has changed? Share some good, some bad.
Well, let me just talk about just the profession of journalism, right? This is what I do. So when I started in journalism, we shot video on film, okay? And then we went from film to 1-inch tape or 2-inch tape. Then we went to 1-inch tape, and then we went to digital. And right now, I don't know if you got a camera, but this camera here has got a little clip in it, and you slide it in. Well, this little square disc is what we slide into our cameras at Channel 7. And this is the highest quality video that you can get. And so we've seen it progress over the years. Now, when I first started out, they shot things in film, and film had to be developed. So you would shoot your story, then you would take it to the television station, and then they would put it on a machine, and they would run it through this machine to develop the film. And in that time that they were developing the film, often what I would do would be I would write my story. Well, now, just like if you get a clip, right, and you put in the camera, you shoot the video, after you finish, where is the video? It's there. So there's no processing time. So the story has to be done like that. And so one of the things that's different is, let's say when I started in television in about 1977. In 1977, I would go out with a cameraman, and again, we'd shoot the story, we'd come back, they'd develop the film, I'd write the story often while the film was developing, and then we would present the story on television. Now, you go out with the cameraman, the video is right there, and if it's an important story, all they can do is feed the video back to the television station, and you've got to start talking right away. Somebody asked me one time, how long does it take you to write a story? I said, well, if I got 2 hours, it takes 2 hours. If I got 10 minutes, it takes 10 minutes. Just whatever it is, and particularly now because news is so much faster, right? You just have to be ready to go on television and talk. And if you make a mistake, just ignore it. Just keep going, Because a lot of times when you're talking, you make a mistake. So that's the difference. It's faster. Stuff is much faster. The quality of our writing is probably much poorer. I would look at some of my old stories and the writing was better. I would be interested in trying to, say little cute things here and there. Now, I don't have time for that. I just got to get it out there. And then after you do the television story, you got to write a web story. So then that's another thing that's an additional thing. And then the web stories have to be differently constructed than television stories. So it's different. It's more work. It's faster work. And is it better work? I don't think so. But in any event, we get the information to the public. And that's what's important.
Thank you. And what do you think maybe the root reason for violence, and what do you think our city's biggest challenges are?
What do I think the root reason for violence is? Well, I think one of the root reasons for violence is poverty. When people don't have what other people have, they want it, right? And then sometimes the people that have, they get so cut off from the other people that have, they don't even look at them as people. It's just an object of something to do. Now, I grew up poor in a community in Kansas, but we were a little town, so we knew everybody. I mean, you couldn't rob me. I would know your people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, it just doesn't happen. You can't do something like that in a little town and get away with it because everybody knows everybody. And so in cities, though, it's a little different. So people can sort of do things. So the bottom line is poverty. And why do I say that? You don't see rich people robbing each other. Do you know any rich people robbing other rich people? I mean, like with a gun or something like that. I mean, they might do it, with pen and paper and sneaky stuff. But the point is, people that have basically feel that they're content with what they have. They're not going to go after somebody else and stick them up on the street. But somebody that, say they want, I don't know what it is they want. Say, you're with your friends and you want a pair of shoes. You want these shoes. You can't get these shoes. And so you decide you just get them any way you can. So that's the thing I think that's hit so many young people. And our values are based so much on material things. And it always has been, which is one of those things, one of the things I'm very interested in. Part of my heritage is Native American. So I have been looking at Indian tribes and the things they do. And so when you sit back and you look, like 200 years ago, when you're looking at the American Indians, say the Creeks or the Cherokees, the Europeans came and suddenly they had these things that the Native Americans didn't have. Maybe it was a dress. Maybe it was, I don't know, a gun. Whatever it was, they wanted this very badly, right? So these Native Americans who were pretty content, living their lives, suddenly these Europeans arrived and said, hey, if you give me so many beaver pelts, I will give you a gun. So suddenly these people are working like crazy to get these beaver pelts so that they can hand these beaver pelts to these Europeans so they can get this gun. Or they want a new dress for their wife, And so suddenly these people are doing all this stuff that they weren't doing before in order to get these goods. Same thing with us, you and me. What are we? We are descendants of people who were slaves brought here from Africa by Europeans. And what happened? Did the Europeans run onto the shore and grab us and come away? No. What happened was other people who look like us wanted things, right? These Europeans were giving them things that they wanted. Sometimes it was clothing. Sometimes it was beads. Sometimes it was, any number of things, guns. And so they suddenly decided, well, if I can capture him and sell him to these Europeans, then I can get this stuff that I want. It's a commercial thing. So suddenly this desire to have stuff made them sell us, sell each other. It's a sad situation. And I think even to this day, when you get too caught up in these things, these commercial things that in 10 minutes or 2 years or whatever, you wouldn't care a thing about, but at that moment, you got to have them. And so then it was selling people, and sometimes it's picking up a gun and robbing somebody on the street, but it's about commercial things. That's what I believe.
What do you think our city's biggest challenge is?
Well, the challenge is basically trying to lift people up. I don't know that a city can do that, but I think a city can contribute to give young people alternatives to sticking people up on the street. And the degree to which, in my opinion, the degree to which they can do that, things are better, I think. But it's rough. If it were easy, we wouldn't have all these problems. It's rough because not only do you have people working in this direction, you have other people working in the opposite direction who just don't care. You know, that's the problem.
Our people have like some of the strongest people around. What do you think contributes some of our strengths?
Well, I think some of the strength is depending on other people. I think we've lost a lot of it. You know, as a young person growing up in Kansas, in a small community, we cared about each other. And there's no way that, for example, in that town, that somebody was really going to go hungry because somebody else would help them, right? But in a city where we're disconnected, you'll starve in some cases. You know, people just don't know you and don't care. So I think that's a problem. I think that's one of the problems. And to the degree that we can get to know each other, care about each other, I think that's the degree to which it helps. But I think in many ways right now, we're just disconnected. You know, we're all in our own little club and group, and we don't care about the people that are outside of it.
We would like to thank our guest, Mr. Sanford, for joining us today.